Welcome to the We Love Life podcast. Together we'll explore how the church is being united and mobilized to create a culture of love and life. Through inspiring conversations with pastors, ministry leaders, and business owners, we'll dive into stories of transformation, faith in action, and the incredible impact that happens when the church comes together to shine the light in the darkest places in our world. Join us as we learn how God is moving through His people to create a culture of love and life that will bring an end to abortion and the orphan crisis. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the We Love Life podcast. My name is Daniel Parks. I serve as Executive Director with Love Life, and I'm joined by my co-host, oftentimes co-host, Brian Ottinger, our Director of Expansion. How's it going, brother?
It's going very well. How are you, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Yeah, not too bad out here in Charlotte. A little rainy, but, you know, God's been good for sure.
Which, if you've been keeping track of past episodes, the rain is good for growing grass. So yeah. I do want to let our listeners know that we're praying for me and my grass, that things they're coming along. They're going well. And if you did listen to past episodes, you know I'm a Braves fan, and that's not going so well. So those of you that were praying for the grass to grow, if you could redirect your prayers towards the Braves, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, man, I'm sure they'll have a deep burden for the Braves and what's going on with the Braves, man.
Most people do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I hope they score a 3-pointer, you know. Get a touchdown or something.
Amen.
So we're going to be talking about a pretty heavy subject today, and going to try to keep this episode brief because I want it to be informative, really, and to give some perspective, of course. So I want people, because what I understand is there are people that have been in this battle, even for people that have been in this battle for a long time, that don't understand the abortion pill, and it's becoming more and more of a conversation within the pro-life realm, within the realm of those who are trying to intervene and save lives, especially since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. One of the things that we've said often is abortion is moving from the abortion clinic to the mailbox, and that means women are getting the abortion pill to their mailbox, having abortions in the comfort and convenience of their own home. Of course, there's other ways that people are getting the abortion pill. We see them all the time at the abortion clinics here in Charlotte and across the nation, women coming in and getting the abortion pill. Little context for me, I think when I first started in ministry outside of the abortion centers here in Charlotte, I think maybe 10 to 15% of abortions were the abortion pill. And now it's like 2/3 of all abortions are the abortion pill. So it's rapidly becoming the number one, or has become the number one method of abortion across the nation. One of the things that kind of sparked this conversation, though, is, and a lot of people are talking about it, a lot of people within the pro-life world, again, are talking about the abortion pill. And there was a study recently that came out in the Ethics and Public Policy Center study. They talked about the risks of the abortion pill. It's been really downplayed by the abortion industry, of course. You know, they don't want to come across as, you know, what they're administering for abortions is anything but safe, right? And so in times past, the abortion industry has said something like, the abortion pill is safer than Tylenol or something like that. And so this Ethics and Public Policy Center study has proven that to be wrong. What they essentially did, and I don't know all the nuts and bolts of it, but from what I can understand from it, is they went through data from insurance claims and basically compared that data and found that there were more complications than what had previously been thought. I think the FDA and, of course, the abortion industry said that their complications were like less than 1% or something. And this study came out, said there's over 10% of women that take the abortion pill or go through the abortion pill protocol will have complications, serious complications. We're going to talk about that. So we're going to kind of lay the foundation for why we're doing this episode, because it's a conversation we need to have, and people need to be informed of what the abortion pill is. And I know, Brian, you kind of, before we pushed record on this thing, you kind of profess some ignorance around the abortion pill and even what it is. And so hopefully we can help clarify some of your ignorance.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, what's interesting is we work for this ministry, which, you know, a lot of people would consider pro-life. And so they think we're like these pro-life experts, like we have to have all the arguments and the science and stuff. And we say it all the time, like we're just Christianity 101. We're just trying to activate the church to love God and love neighbor. And so obviously I don't want to be completely uninformed. I do know that every abortion pill that's taken is unsafe because it killed the life of a child. We understand that, we get that, but I've always been a little ignorant in terms of the process of how abortion pills work. And then, can they be reversed? And so there's a great abortion pill reversal that exists. And that's a great segue into our lovely guest today, Daniel, which very well. Do you want to introduce her? Or?
Yeah, I do want to introduce her, although I do want to keep those who are watching in a little bit of suspense of who this special guest is, because I want to cover just a few things that I think is helpful. And for you, Brian, and for all those who are watching, ignorance is not a bad thing. We're all ignorant to a lot of things, and we can't be experts on everything. And I want to just reinforce and reiterate what you said about not being the experts. Like, we don't really know. Of course, we need to understand, as a ministry, Love Life needs to understand how these things work as best we can and all of that. But we never have claimed to be the experts on every angle and everything that has to do with pro-life stuff, whether it be medical stuff or political stuff. So we're just kind of doing the best we can to inform the body of Christ. And really, we believe that the body of Christ is the solution, not Love Life. And so we're not coming and doing this episode as experts, although my wife, who is our special guest, who's a registered nurse, who's been involved with abortion pill reversals and ministered to many women that have gone through the abortion pill regimen, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, like what all of that is, what it is. It's not just an abortion pill, it's more than that. But one of the things I want to clear up before my wife chimes in and describes really what the abortion pill is, because I think that's important for us to understand what a thing is. There's a lot of confusion and conflation over the abortion pill and Plan B. A lot of people think Plan B is the abortion pill, that those things are one and the same, and they're not. They're actually very dissimilar. They're not the same thing at all, although the result can be the same. And the thing that you said, Brian, I think is really important to focus on too, that we talk about, that study, that Ethics and Public Policy Center study, talked about how the abortion pill is unsafe for women, for sure. And a lot of times that can be the focus, right? It's unsafe for women. And that's, of course, important. We want women to be safe. We don't want people taking things that are unsafe for them, that cause them harm, for sure, no matter who they are, no matter what their intentions are. But just to restate what you said, Brian, every abortion pill regimen, every abortion, no matter how it's done, whether medical or surgical, is dangerous, because it's dangerous to the baby. Like, that's the intention. When a woman takes the abortion pill, the intention is that the child that she has conceived dies, right? Even though she may not understand all the implications of that and all of that stuff, a child dies. So we have to understand that. We have to make that clearly known, and we should be against the abortion pill, not just because it puts women's lives at risk, but because it kills children, for sure. To go back, because I know I rabbit trailed a little bit, to go back to talk about Plan B. Plan B and the abortion pill are not the same thing. Plan B, you can get that over the counter. A lot of times you go to the drugstore, CVS or Walgreens or whatever drugstores you have, and you can get that actually over the counter without a prescription. Some college campuses, you can get it from like a vending machine, or you can go to the Planned Parenthood there on college campus and get the Plan B pill. And essentially Plan B, if I could simplify it, is just a bunch of birth control. It doesn't necessarily cause a child that's conceived to be aborted. Its primary function is to keep a woman from conceiving a child. And so, but it does have as a secondary function that if she has conceived a child, that it will make her uterus a hostile environment to the implantation of a fertilized egg, which we believe that life begins at fertilization. We believe that life begins at conception, which is fertilization. And so it can be potentially abortive. Plan B, which is, again, just like a bunch of birth control, can be abortive, but it's not always abortive. The abortion pill is always abortive. It's always going to expel a child that's already been conceived from a woman's body. It's going to kill that child. Again, that's the intention of it. So just to clarify a little bit of that, Courtney, did I miss anything in that explanation? And then if you could dive into just describing how the abortion pill works.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. You've been listening. I'm proud
Yeah.
of you. Good job.
Yeah. I read a little bit of stuff,
Good boy.
Yeah, she's taught me well.
So, yeah, that was a great explanation of the difference between the abortion pill and the morning after pill, which is very frequently confused.
Yeah.
But mifepristone, or RU-486, is a different drug altogether. So just to explain kind of the protocol of the abortion pill, it's actually 2-drug combination. When women go into the abortion clinic or their healthcare provider, their OBGYN, they order it online. Nowadays, you don't have to see a provider. You can just Google it and find it pretty easily. And it comes, like Daniel said, to your mailbox, and you take it in the privacy of your own home. But the first medication they give is called mifepristone, also known as RU-486. And what that drug does is it actually blocks the hormone receptors for progesterone. So progesterone is the pregnancy hormone. It keeps pregnancies, it tells your body that this pregnancy needs to be supported. So mifepristone comes in and it blocks those progesterone receptors on the uterus. So your body says, we don't need progesterone anymore. The baby slowly doesn't get the nutrition and the blood flow it needs, and it dies in utero. And then the second drug is actually called misoprostol, or Cytotec is the brand name drug. And it actually causes your body to expel the baby. So it causes cervical ripening, it causes cramps and contractions, and it's what actually puts you into labor and you expel the baby from your body. So those 2 drugs in combination is a pretty deadly combo. It's pretty successful. Occasionally, you will have to have a surgical abortion because everything didn't come out like it's supposed to. But for the majority of the time, it is successful, and you will have a complete abortion. So what the abortion pill reversal seeks to do is combat this by flooding the body with progesterone as to overflow those blocked receptors and tell your body that, no, we don't want to terminate this pregnancy. So we actually want to keep this pregnancy viable. We want to keep this pregnancy alive. And so that's kind of the thought behind the abortion pill reversal is, and a lot of people think it's like this magic pill that you just have to take one of and you're good. But it's not that easy. You do have to take it for the first trimester, and it's just a series of progesterone, either in an injection, a vaginal suppository, or an oral pill. They have found over the years of research that actually oral pills are just as effective as vaginal suppositories and injections, which is good news for the women who have to take it. So
yeah,
that's kind of a nutshell of what the abortion pill does and the very simple abortion pill reversal procedure.
So can I chime in just to make sure I'm understanding?
Absolutely.
So the first part of the regimen is mifepristone, otherwise known as RU-486, which, by the way, I've heard it has horrible origins traced back to the Nazi experimental stuff they were doing on their prisoners and stuff. So that basically, the mifepristone, it cancels the progesterone, which is what it's used to call it, the pregnancy.
Yeah, the pregnancy hormone. It just
gives baby life.
Yeah,
I guess
when you get pregnant and if you have frequent miscarriages, they're always going to check your progesterone levels because that's what supports and maintains.
Just
pregnancy.
Good stuff for the baby. So it cancels all that stuff. And then the second one, what was the name of that again?
It's misoprostol or Cytotec.
Misoprostol or Cytotec. That basically opens the cervix up to expel the baby. So the first drug kills the baby, and the second drug expels the baby.
In theory, yes.
And then, Courtney, is it like a 2-day process? Is it a 3-day process? Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So it used to be a 3 or 4 day process. They used to say, you come in, you have an ultrasound, they verify that the pregnancy is in the uterus, and then they give you the medication in a clinic or your doctor's office. And then they send you home and tell you in 72 hours, you can take the next drug because the baby should have passed by then. Nowadays, they're not waiting 72 hours. They're waiting 24 to 48 hours. And most of the time, that baby hasn't had time to pass away. That baby is born alive in the privacy of your own home, mostly into your toilet or trash can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. I would encourage you guys to go and watch Unplanned. If you haven't watched the Unplanned movie about Abby Johnson, about her life or whatever, go watch that movie. There's a scene in there. It's I think it's before. It's been a while since I watched it. I just watched the scene. You can go on YouTube and find Unplanned movie abortion pill scene. If you just search that, you'll find that. And it's really pretty gruesome. I was actually going to play it on this episode, decided not to because it's pretty gruesome, and people can go watch it if they want to. But watching that movie, I think, is very eye-opening. But I mean, it is a gruesome procedure. The abortion pill kind of, or the abortion industry, sorry, kind of paints this picture that the abortion pill is just kind of this, this magic pill you pop and then you go on with your life. Your baby disappears, your problems disappear, you go on with your life. And it's much more gruesome than that, for sure. One thing to mention, because we've gotten some flack and people get flack. I know, even the abortion pill reversal people, I think Heartbeat International is the one who runs that now, but they get a lot of flack about the dangers of the abortion pill reversal. And I've had pro-abortion people say to me out on the sidewalk, because we talk about the abortion pill reversal, and we see a woman that's come out of the clinic, our teams are trained to reach out and say, go to abortionpillreversal.com. They can help you reverse the effects of that medication. And we get flack from the pro-abortion people saying that's unsafe. And then I ask them the question, I was like, okay, well, what's unsafe about it? And do you even know what the abortion pill reversal is? Because most people have no clue, pro-abortion people. It's an ideological opposition. It has really nothing to do with medical science or anything like that. And Courtney, you described pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to understand what the abortion pill reversal is. Just progesterone, right? It's the same thing they do if women, like you said, have frequent miscarriages. They give them progesterone, and kind of like, it's like a hormone replacement therapy, if you will. And so that's good to describe that. Some of these complications, some of these risks that were mentioned in that study, and again, a lot of people are talking about that study from the EPPC, which I never heard of them before until this study. But some of the things that they brought out, but honestly, some of these things we kind of already knew. Like if you went on Planned Parenthood's website and you read the fine print about the abortion pill, one of the things that they say is that 1 in 500 women that take the abortion pill, again, they've been saying this for years, 1 in 500 women that take the abortion pill will require a blood transfusion. That means they're going to bleed so much that they'll require a blood transfusion. And of course, again, that's a danger to the baby for sure, but it's a danger to the woman. And, of course, the ironic thing is that a lot of women that are going to abortion clinics or that are more, getting mail order abortion pills, want to hide the fact that they're even pregnant. And one of the things that I will say to women and to men as I'm ministering to them at the abortion clinic is, if you're trying to hide this pregnancy from someone, what happens if you're one of those 1 in 500 that end up in the hospital requiring a blood transfusion? Like, people are going to know. So again, this whole guise of it's just a magic pill that you take, you go on with your life. It's a farce. It's a lie. And Courtney, I know you've seen that before. And so I want you to share just some of those stories of women that you've ministered to. Maybe share a little bit of your background. I shared it briefly. You're an RN. You've dealt with the abortion pill and abortion pill reversal. Maybe you can just help folks to understand your expertise and your perspective and, your work in pregnancy centers and stuff.
Yeah, so I have been a nurse for over 20 years, which is kind of crazy. I don't look that old, right?
Right. Sure.
So I've worked anywhere from ICU to ER, and then most recently in the pregnancy care center world for about almost 10 years. So I have seen a lot of women, abortion-minded women, come in, and we just have seen women who don't listen to our sound advice, and they go and they take the abortion pill, and then just the devastating effects from that. We've gotten women who send us pictures of their little baby in their hand after they, went through with the medical abortion and what came out. I think it's important to note that the abortion pill used to only be available up until 8 weeks, but recently, in the past few years, it's now available up until 10 weeks. And I've even seen our local abortion clinic do 12 weeks. So the babies that are coming from these medical abortions aren't just tissue. They're fully formed little babies that you can hold in your hand, and you can see their arms and their legs and their, their rib cages, their skulls, like they're little people. And I think that the fact that women are seeing this and doing this in the privacy of their own home with nobody to support them. And a lot of times, like you said, Daniel, they've hidden it from their families. They think that this is just going to be a quick and easy way to get rid of their problem. And they're dealing with this devastation alone, in private, in secret, and they have no one to talk to about it. So, I feel like that is leading to a lot of even more of the post-abortion complications like depression and, drug abuse to deal with your depression in women having these types of abortions. So the devastation that comes from a medical abortion, it can be even greater than a surgical abortion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, again, this idea from the abortion industry that it's a magic pill that you take and you go on with your life, and then a woman goes home, goes through that process, or again, she's taking it at home and goes through that process where she's kind of, it's going to be like a menstrual cycle, and hey, I've had plenty of those, so I know that's not a big deal. It's something I can handle. And then think about, believing that, and then going through, again, if you guys watch that video from the Unplanned movie, it's pretty gruesome. And Courtney, you said pretty accurate to what you've heard and seen from women that have gone through the abortion pill procedure. And then to see your baby, which you were told was just a blob of tissue or a clump of cells. I mean, think about how devastating that can be for these women as they see their little baby in their hand, flush their baby down the toilet. It's like, man, again, it's an act of violence against that child. And just think about that precious little baby that's being flushed down the toilet like garbage, like waste. And then the woman who's devastated by that reality. It's something that we need to understand. As a church, we care about these women. We care about these babies for sure. And we don't want to see women devastated in that way. And so, I think for us to understand as the church, the gruesome nature of this thing is important.
Yeah, and something that I really never thought about until just hearing you explain this. Obviously, the baby's the victim, right? The baby's the ultimate victim. And, obviously, Satan has done a good job of binding the collective conscience of a society that, one, is abortion's legal, two, it's safe, and three is like, just take this little pill and everything will be solved.
Yeah.
And so these women are taking these pills thinking that, and I was just met with the reality of in some ways I'm glad they get to see their child. And I know that sounds bad. It's like, because I know, being a post-abortive person, there's devastating lingering effects that that people are going to need healing from, which only Christ can provide the healing for that. But hopefully it's like that graphic image where it's like, man, they never do it again. Like, wow, this is actually a human being with 10 fingers, 10 toes, etc. But the thought that just came to my mind, which I'd never considered before until you described this, is, and correct me if I'm wrong or give me some understanding on this, some of these children that are being born or not born, but, well, they're coming out of the womb at 8, 10, 12 weeks. Could some of these children still be like alive? Like,
Yeah.
Like, like, so it's almost like double homicide. Like they took the pill to kill their child, and then they're the ones that have to discard, flush down the toilet their baby, who obviously is not going to make it apart from being in their womb. But
Right.
is that a thing? Like, that's how ignorant I am. Like, I've had 5 kids, and by God's grace, my wife's the one that gave birth to all of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like, I didn't have to do that. But how does a child that's been expelled through mifepristone, how does that child then still come out the womb with some sort of semblance of life?
Yeah, so especially when they're giving the abortion pill later on in pregnancy, 10 weeks is supposed to be the max. But I recently had a lady who was given it at 12 weeks, and by God's grace, her child survived and was saved. But even at 10 weeks, especially if they're given mifepristone and told in 24 hours, take misoprostol, that child could very well still have a heartbeat when it's being expelled through cytotech. Now, we know that a 10-week baby outside of the womb is not going to live, mere minutes
seconds.
Probably.
Yeah.
But still, that baby is fully formed. It's able to feel pain. It's being born alive, essentially, to die outside of the womb.
I just never even thought of that as an option. Obviously, it's gruesome enough to see a dead child expelled from your own body, but to even think about, you've now held in your hand potentially your living child, which, gosh, it's kind of mind opening, mind blowing to think about. And I really appreciate you sharing this, Courtney. If you could, just to give some stories of hope, because this is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to reiterate, just if we have an arm of our ministry called Restored Life. And like I mentioned, a few minutes ago, I have abortion in my past, and by God's grace, the Lord has brought healing and restored that area of my life through what we call Restored Life. So if you have abortion in your past, you're listening to this, maybe this is triggering some of your post-traumatic stress from that situation, I want to encourage you to go check out lovelife.org/restoredlife. And it's an anonymous way that you can get plugged into healing right away through biblical studies led by our awesome friend, Stephanie Reinhardt. So if that's you, whether it was a surgical, abortion pill, maybe you are a mom who, as we're talking about this, you held your baby in your hand. And I want to let you know that there's forgiveness at the cross. There's redemption in Christ. And apart from him, I don't know where there's any other hope. I've never been able to find it. And it's the only source of healing in my life. And so I want to encourage you, if that's your story, go check that out. But Courtney, if you could give some hope to our listeners and our viewers about the abortion pill reversal, which, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the genesis of how it came to be and some of your participation, because you're kind of on the Kickstarter level, and I guess of, getting that going here in Charlotte, and just love to hear more about that as well. Some stories of redemption.
Sure. Yeah. The abortion pill reversal process was actually kind of accidentally discovered and formulated by Dr. Matthew Harrison. He's here locally in Charlotte, and we are blessed to work with him at my current job, which is Help Pregnancy Center in Monroe, North Carolina. And so he's our medical director there, but he actually was called by Cabarrus Women's Center in Concord, North Carolina, a woman had come in and her daughter had taken the abortion pill and immediately regretted it and wanted help. She's like, surely there has to be a way to fix this. Can we take it back? And at that time, there wasn't a way. So they called their medical director, Dr. Matthew Harrison, and said, hey, this is the situation. What can we do for this young lady? And he said he just prayed, like, Lord, what can we do for this young lady? We want to help her save her baby. How can we do this? And so he just was downloaded. He believes from the Lord this protocol of progesterone to combat the effects of mifepristone. Again, by God's grace, that young lady survived in her mother's womb, and she is thriving now as a young lady.
I think that happened back in 2007, right?
Yeah, it's been. I was going to say she's, I think, graduating from high school.
Wow.
Soon. So
she local?
She is local. I'm not sure if she's still local, but she was at the time local.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so it turns out that on the West Coast, there was another doctor, Dr. Delgado, who kind of was thinking the same thing. And so Dr. Delgado, Dr. Harrison got together, and they have now formulated a streamlined protocol. They've rolled it out to centers across the country. And I was blessed to be able to help start this in Cabarrus Women's Center in Concord, and now in Help Pregnancy Center in Monroe. We've been doing it for about 9 years. So we constantly are updating. We're constantly, getting data and adjusting to try to make it as successful as possible. Our current success rate is about 68%.
Wow.
Of women who take the abortion pill reversal protocol will carry to term. There's no teratogenic or harmful effects known from mifepristone. So it doesn't cause like any birth defects or anything like that. So if progesterone is successful, most of these babies are born healthy and normal and go on to live very happy and productive lives. So, so I've been blessed to be a part of this. It's been it's been a life-changing experience to be able to offer a way out for women who instantly regret what they've done. So I think it's really important also to talk about how women get access to this, and how, if you're in your area, if you're a sidewalk counselor, if you're a house of refuge representative, how can you help women in this situation who may confide in you that they've taken the abortion pill and they regret it? And you can go to abortionpillreversal.com, and that will connect you to the hotline, and they will get you connected to a provider in your area. We have providers across the country and even internationally who will provide this free of charge for the woman.
That's amazing.
So
yeah, no,
go ahead.
I was reading online, just kind of talking about some glory stories and what the Lord has done, that I think nationally, since this was started, about 6,000 babies have been saved. I mean, if you think about that, it's essentially after the abortion has begun, right? That woman has taken the mifepristone and regretted it, and then got connected with a nurse or a doctor that administered the abortion pill reversal. And just to see 6,000 plus babies that have been saved, pretty powerful.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Pretty powerful testimony. Courtney, I know you have a testimony personally that you've been involved in. We won't share any names. Obviously, we want to be as anonymous as possible. But I know, just off the top of my head, at least 2 sets of twins that you've been involved with seeing saved from the abortion pill. But I know one story in particular kind of hits close to home that you were involved in. Can you share that story briefly before we wrap up?
Sure, yeah. Mama H is probably who you're talking about. She's one of my favorite reversal moms that I've ever had the privilege of walking beside. She went to the abortion clinic because she'd had a one-night stand, and she was pregnant, and she didn't want to be pregnant with this guy she barely knew's baby. And she had gone in, and they had done an ultrasound, and they just mentioned in passing, oh, there's 2 of them. And, and she was like a deer in headlights, like, what? 2? Like 2 babies? And she said she just kind of was like a zombie. Like she didn't say anything. She was just in shock, and she just went through the motions, and they told her to take the pill, and she just swallowed. But inside she was like, no, wait, like I have 2 babies and I don't want to do this. But again, they are often referred to, I hear like reviews and stuff from this clinic that says it feels like they're herding cattle because they're just pushing you through the motions, not giving you time to process, not giving you time to think. So they pushed her to the next process. She swallowed the pill and she left the clinic. And as she walked out the door, she heard one of our sidewalk counselors here in Charlotte say, if you regret taking the abortion pill, abortionpillreversal.com can help you. And that stuck in her mind. She got in her car. She literally didn't make it off of the street. She pulled right up around the curb, and she looked up the number and she called. And almost, I think it was less than 3 hours, she was sitting in our clinic, and we had started the abortion pill reversal process. And they just started kindergarten, 5-year-old twin little girls who are absolutely beautiful. She sends me pictures every year, just thanking me because she's so grateful that she had a second chance. Yeah. And she's just, I think she'll forever be grateful. I don't think she will ever forget the opportunity that she was given to save her children. And that's an amazing and like I said, life-changing thing to be a part of is literally rescuing children from death.
Yeah.
Scrap.
So. It's so powerful. Courtney, thanks for sharing that story. And thanks for all the work you do. Sometimes I forget that you wear a couple Superwoman capes, and that's one of them. I'm grateful, on the one hand, right, that there's faithful sidewalk presence in Charlotte and in other cities and abortion centers. And in a lot of cases, we're seeing abortion centers shut down that are handing out these abortion pills. But like you guys mentioned, the mailbox is the new abortion center, right? The USPS post office delivery guy is now the guy delivering the death to these children. And I think it's a misunderstanding, and we've heard it in even some of our House of Refuge meetings where people see abortion centers shut down, and they Roe versus Wade was overturned a couple years ago, and it's like, man, abortion's on the decrease. I even had a pastor friend of mine, I probably mentioned this in another podcast. He saw me after Roe versus Wade was overturned. He's like, are you still working at Love Life? And I said, yeah. He's like, why are you there? I thought abortion was over. And the reality, and our friends at Foundation to Abolish Abortion and other ministries have done studies, abortion numbers have increased.
Yeah.
And if you think about, our abortion center giving abortion pills now of babies up to 12 weeks, well, what's stopping the mom who's 16 weeks pregnant or 18 weeks pregnant from ordering these pills and beginning that process? And I mean, talking about gruesome, and I mean, we've seen the dangers not only to every baby, through the abortion pill, but now moms are, 4 or 5 months pregnant and taking abortion pills and stuff. So Daniel, if you could, and Courtney, you can chime in as well, but just trying to highlight for any pastor who's listening, any layman in the church even as well, why is this information important? What makes it relevant to the average churchgoer? Just in this climate.
So, I mean, it's important to understand the reality that abortion has not ended just because Roe v. Wade is over. And then to understand that, certainly we're going to continue to have sidewalk teams at the abortion clinics as long as they're open, right? Not just here in Charlotte, but across the nation. We have teams that are faithful there. And we're going to continue to do that, continue to raise up and train sidewalk counselors to be out there and be effective in that ministry. But as abortion shifts from abortion clinics to mailboxes, all the more the church needs to be present in their communities. Mm-hmm. The church needs to, pastors need to equip their congregations to reach people in their communities, right? And the reality is too, people in their churches, people in our churches are taking the abortion pill. They're going to abortion clinics, or they're getting the abortion pill in their mailbox because their church, their pastor, because people are sinners, number one, right? People sin because they're sinners, right? This concept, and I'm not calling anybody out or anything, but this concept that we want to make abortion unthinkable. I understand that. I certainly do want to make it unthinkable. But the reality is abortion will always be thinkable as long as there are sinners in the world, right? People are going to, no matter if you make it illegal, it's still going to be, people are going to think about it. So it's happening in our congregations. It's happening in our communities. And I think a powerful way that pastors can influence their communities and their congregations is to clearly state where they stand, right? A lot of times a woman in a congregation or in a community who maybe claims to be a believer, and maybe she has parents that go to a church that that's against abortion, and this idea that if I share that I'm pregnant, the church is going to shame me or condemn me needs to be dispelled by pastors. I mean, right away, pastors need to make a clear statement about where they stand on the issue of abortion, right? Of course, we stand against abortion. A lot of pastors assume that their congregation knows where they stand. We're a conservative congregation. We believe the Bible, therefore they should understand that we believe abortion is wrong. So first and foremost, that needs to be dispelled. Like your congregation does not necessarily know where your church stands on abortion and where you stand as a pastor unless you make a clear statement. And then the second thing is, people, again, okay, yeah, I know my church is against abortion, my pastor is against abortion. Therefore, if I share that I have an unplanned pregnancy and that I'm considering abortion, or that I have abortion in my past, I'm just going to be shamed and condemned. So that lie needs to be dispelled also. And the only way you dispel lies is to speak the truth. And the House of Refuge statement is a clear way to do that. The House of Refuge model that I believe the Lord gave us as a model to equip the church is pretty powerful. You go to lovelife.org/refuge. You can find out about it, just basically equipping the pastor to make a clear and concise statement to his congregation about where they stand on the issue of abortion, where they stand on unplanned pregnancy, what they will do and what they won't do. We won't judge, shame, and condemn you. We will come around you and support you. We're not going to condone sin, but we will come around you and support you in your unplanned pregnancy. That's important. And then designating a rep within that congregation that will be the go-between between Love Life and that congregation is pretty powerful. We train and equip that rep. So that's a powerful way. And then there's a lot of other ways that we've seen House of Refuge churches that they go into their community and they hand out flyers saying, if you have an unplanned pregnancy, you can come to our church. You guys can check out the episode we did with Pastor Jeff Thompson up in Canada to kind of see a model House of Refuge church, because those guys have done an amazing job in Canada, and we have churches across the nation here in the United States that are doing an amazing job impacting their community. So, yeah, that's an important way that congregations can reach their communities. And, hey, we'd like to hear more ways. If you guys have some ideas that we can help equip and encourage the church and reaching their community before women order the abortion pill online or before they go to an abortion clinic, because that's the best, right? To reach them before they kind of take action on abortion.
Well, I think too, just to know, it's like, a lot of times we'll put our head in the sand and say, hey, we're against these things. And, almost like TikTok, right? And like nobody wants to do TikTok, but at some point you got to recognize like TikTok is reaching all these people. And if we're going to reach these people, like we need to be on TikTok. So not that I'm on TikTok dancing or anything, Daniel, even though I think I saw a video of you and Courtney doing a duet dance or something on TikTok. It's pretty cool.
I don't know about that, man.
Maybe
might have been a deep fake.
Post that link in the comment section. But it's not enough just to say we're against abortion, but we need to say, hey man, like let us know the ways in which people are having abortion, so we can speak prophetically, redemptively, loving, compassionately about those things to inform our congregation. And to quote my friends at G.I. Joe, because knowing is half the battle.
It's half the battle. Amen.
So yeah,
that's good, man. So hopefully this episode's been informative to you guys that are watching and then listening. And hopefully you guys will share this episode with others to help them be informed as well. And if you want to get more information, if there's any way we can help clarify anything, you can certainly reach out to us, info@lovelife.org. You can check out all the stuff that we mentioned. There should have been links up on the video, and there'll be some links in the show notes to check out more information. But yeah, we appreciate all of you guys listening. Appreciate, Brian, your thoughtful questions, even in some ignorance, your humility coming and sharing all of that. Courtney,
I had to pretend to be ignorant, Daniel.
Okay. Well, you did a good job at pretending. Good job.
Super ignorant. I'm super ignorant. Thank you, Courtney, for enlightening me.
Yeah.
Enlightening us. Thank you.
That was really good. And then hearing the glory stories is pretty amazing, just what God does. And it's just amazing to see what, in spite of what the enemy's doing, God's always got a plan. And the church is rising up. So it's pretty powerful to be a part of this. Amen. Yeah. So again, appreciate all of you guys watching and listening. Like, subscribe, and share and subscribe and all the stuff that you're supposed to do to videos. Kind of mess that up. But until next time, God bless.